Live, local, and talking about the teams that matter to you. This is Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Brought to you by McMahon's Best One Tire and Auto Care.
Morning and welcome to Talkin Sports. Along with Adam Lundy this morning, filling in for DC Henson. I'm Jim Shovlin.
Good morning. Already running into a sticky button over here on the board. I couldn't get your mic on right away.
Sticky buttons are not friends of ours.
We'll work on
the
that
radio
one.
business. Yeah. But we got it on, or at least we think we do. So that's great news. Welcome in to Talkin Sports, where we're talking local sports of all sorts every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. If you have a question, comment, opinion, suggestion, etc., hey, do so via the Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana text line at 260-447-8500. That's 260-447-8500. We'll take a look at it, make sure it's appropriate for airing, and we'll get it on for you. So we'll do that, especially if you've got a question for, let's say Mike Nutter, the Fort Wayne TinCaps. I have a question for him this morning, too, that I will pose. And also, Shane Albahrani will be joining us later on in the show. And the Komets play tomorrow night, Game 5 of their Western Conference Finals against the Kansas City Mavericks. And they need to win or pack up the gear. So, and then after that, go to Kansas City for 2, which the Komets were the best road team in the ECHL this year, if not the best, one of the best, and won 25 games on the road out of a 36-game road schedule. So, and remember, first 11 of those were on the road this past season anyway. So that was tough, but we'll see. We got to go one game at a time. And, our backs are against the wall. Let's see. I've got to give 110%. No, I don't believe in anything over 100%. 100% is wide open throttle, so we'll go 100%. But anyway, if you got a question for Shane, hey, pose it right here on the Goodwill Industries Northeast Indiana text line. Once again, 260-447-8500. So, the Komets, as we said, they're on Coliseum Ice tomorrow, 5:05, and tickets are available. Fort Wayne TinCaps on the road in Dayton, taking on the Dragons. No, they're in South Bend. I'm sorry, they're in South Bend. So,
taking on the Cubs.
Yes, taking on the Cubs, and boy, did they last night. South Bend was a victor Thursday night, I believe, by a score of 6-4. Then the TinCaps came back last night, and it was a wonderful evening of comebacks. And as you said after talking to Jaden Taylor, okay, this was the biggest TinCaps comeback since when?
Yeah, it was since Leo DeVries hit for a cycle against the Lansing Lugnuts in a 15-14 victory. They were down 9-2 earlier in the game, and it involved a Leo DeVries cycle, and it ended up with a TinCaps comeback win 15-14 against the Lansing Lugnuts. So that was the last time they came back from a deficit that large, but last night was another example.
And did it on the road, yeah. And so we're going to be talking to Mike Nutter after our first break, and he will let us in on all of that, plus the promotional schedule for the upcoming week. And we'll talk about anything and everything, TinCaps, Parkview Field, etc. The win last night, 13-hit attack by the TinCaps as well. Cason Wells had 4 of those 13 hits. Alex McCoy had a couple more, including his 10th home run of the season, and that is a big man. Oh, my goodness, 6'6" or 6. Well, it fluctuates. 270, 280. He's a big guy, great swing. He also drove in his 31st and 32nd runs of the season last evening as well. So, kids, if you ever want to learn how to master the art of hitting, go to a TinCaps game whenever Alex McCoy comes up to the plate. Take a look. Watch this happen.
Yeah, the TinCaps guys lovingly refer to him as sweet swinging Alex McCoy.
Sweet swinging. That sounds like Billy Williams, the Cubs' old nickname back in the 60s. But, yeah, if he's, the swing is beautiful. And he's a big guy.
Good speed, too.
Yeah.
Stole base last night, so can move with that, large frame and weight, too.
Yeah, indeed. So that's, baseball sectionals, semis are coming today. And then now we are going to be 1380. We're going to be at the DeKalb sectional championship game on Monday, correct, Adam?
Yeah, that is correct. We will be there on Monday.
Okay. And regardless, we still aren't sure who plays. I know Leo plays Angola today at 11 o'clock. And DeKalb.
Man, that's always a good one. Leo Angola.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that one.
It's, and they had, my gosh, well, as you recall, Brett and Dean had the call out at Leo earlier in the season.
Oh, yeah.
When there was a TinCaps game at about 1:05 or so.
Yeah.
And this game started at 10.
Right at 10.
And the Lions broke it open in middle innings. And then here come the Angola Hornets. And it ended up 10-9 with runners on base as things ended up. But, of course, I coach in the Leo program, was at the game. Still have to, watch what I'm doing based on events of a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there cheering on my Lions. And, my gosh, at one point it was tied 6-6, bottom of the sixth. They had the bases loaded, 1 out. Ground ball back to the pitcher. He threw to first. Just one of those things where you just, I get the out. But I felt so bad for that kid because I think he probably knew as soon as he let go of it what he was supposed to have done, throw to the plate and got the force there. But anyway, so Dwenger survives in advance. And then they come in with sophomore Andrew Rathbun. And he pitched, I think, the last inning in a third, gave up no hits, walked a guy, and struck out 3. So in a big-time situation, Mr. Rathbun came up big, and he's just so much fun to watch. Beautiful mechanics, lefty. Anyway, speaking of baseball, I was over at Parkview Regional Medical Center the other day on Thursday, and I have my cardiac rehab and all that, Adam. But they say to eat before you come in for this, so that blood sugar levels. Anyway, I was walking through there, and a guy that I coached in JV baseball at Bishop Dwenger, perhaps 20-plus years ago, who is now a doctor, stopped by and said, "Boy, you just can't leave this place, can you?" And so we talked, and one of my favorite players in the Dwenger program at the time, and he became a doctor, walked on. He went to Notre Dame, thought he'd walk on to the football team, and actually played a couple of downs for the Irish in football. Jake Richardville, Dr. Richardville, what a great guy. And so I thought, here it is 20-some years ago, and they still remember the coaches. So let this be a lesson to anybody that's considering coaching but going, I don't have enough time. And you can make an impact, and sometimes you don't know you've made an impact on people, or you can build a relationship that will be never ending. It's amazing. This morning, went for my coffee at the Marathon Station in Grable. I pull in. There was a car that pulled in just before me in the parking spot. The guy gets out and goes, "Who thought I'd see you here?" Well, it's a former player at Leo that was there, Wyatt Francher. Here he's playing college ball, and he's pre-med. So, awesome. he's gonna be a doctor someday, hopefully, and he wants to be an anesthesiologist. So it's so great seeing these people again as they're growing even more. But I've had such a a great opportunity in coaching. I coached at Dwenger as a volunteer off and on for about 10 years, and then I've coached at Leo for 7 thus far. And the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you talk to, the people that you meet, and baseball is to me a fraternity. And if you took all the people away from my life that I met through baseball, I wouldn't know many people. So, that has been just a wonderful thing for me. But to see a Wyatt Francher this morning and a Jake Richardville, and both are doing so well.
Yeah, I was going to say, now, is being a doctor part of the requirement for the Shovlin coaching program?
Well, no.
Okay, so you don't have to become a doctor.
But in case something happens to me,
You're building up your staff here.
Yeah, I just like to have a little stable of people that, know what to do just in case,
No, but that is fantastic that you get to run into those guys. And, of course, they remember you because you've clearly had an impact on their lives. And, they want to say hi and let you know how they're doing and probably thank you because, this is super cool. I love to hear those theories.
And just to take it one step further, when I coached Little League, okay, my son is mid-40s. When he was 9 years old, he was playing in minor leagues in Little League, and there was a kid that was 12 years old that played. At that time, you could still have the 12s, and they didn't always make the majors, but he was okay, but he didn't have much confidence in himself, and he came from a single-parent family, and he played, and we thought, you know what, you'd be a good catcher. Oh, I don't think so. I've never done it before. And we put the gear on him. He loved it. He played. And all of a sudden, you could see his confidence start to soar because he was now the leader of the team. He was looking out at everything on the diamond, and he'd even come over and go, Coach, so-and-so isn't playing where they should be and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, last game of the season, I don't really look into the stands and look for parents or anything like that when I'm coaching. But anyway, a lady came up to me, Adam, after our final game of the season, and she said, "Are you Coach Jim?" And I said, "Yes, I am." Because I can't stand you. I thought, I was going to say something along the lines of, well, there's the line over there.
Right.
But I just looked, kind of bewildered, and she goes, "I just can't stand you." And I go, what seems to be the problem? She goes, "I'm Justin's mother." She said, he comes home from a practice or game every night talking about Coach Jim and another coach, Coach Marshall. Coach Jim, Coach Marshall, she says, he talks about the two of you so much. She goes, "I'm sick of it." But she says, "Thank you for, being in his life and all that." And I'll tell you what, Adam, there's not a trophy big enough or something that happens like that you had a little bit of an impact on someone's life. So if you get the chance to coach, moral of the story, if you get the chance to coach youth sports, get in it for the right reasons. And you know what? You have time. Don't tell me you don't have time, because I didn't have time either. And there were times when I was working 2 jobs. There were times when I was working 2 jobs and I was doing this show. And you still manage your time, find time to coach, and it was a beautiful thing. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox for that. Hey,
cool.
Have you been out to Ruoff Mortgage Stadium yet to see the Fort Wayne FC? I have not had a chance yet. Because they host the AV Alta FC tonight at 7:30 at Ruoff Mortgage Stadium. And there again, I drive by there all the time, and you can always see little bits and pieces of progress that's going on. The aesthetics are happening at this point, and I still have to get out there too to a match. Yeah, no, it looks fantastic. I mean, it does, and all the pictures and footage that comes from the club. It looks like it's from a professional club in Europe or something. Right. It just looks like classic
football or soccer, I guess, which you should say over here on this side of the pond. But yeah, it looks like they're having a great time and doing well so far.
Yeah, and I think when this project is completed, they'll likely say about this that we've said about Parkview Field. I mean, how many times have I stood on the concourse at Parkview Field and thought to myself, I can't believe this is in downtown Fort Wayne. I can't believe this is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We've got something so nice and so renowned, across the country. My gosh, hey, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So
what I think about at Parkview Field is when I stand there and soak it all in is thinking about how many people were opposed to it.
Yeah.
Originally. Nobody wanted to go downtown. Nobody wanted to, find parking, and, there wasn't anything downtown at the time, really, or a lot less than there is now. Everybody was really
no, you're right. There wasn't anything, and Parkview Field was the impetus for getting this revitalization going, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But, and the naysayers, and it was about 80-20. They were the ones that were going, well, that's a poor place to put that. It's not a very affluent part of downtown. There's a lot of muggings and murders, and how are people going to get in and out of there? And they just everything was no. And we've got a perfectly good stadium out at the Coliseum.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of that battle between old school. 80s, 90s, we're paving everything down and building highways, and this is our stadium right in the middle of a giant parking lot out in suburbia,
Yeah.
But we're going to switch. We're going to bring it into the new style of revitalizing our downtowns, and that's what happened. But worked out well.
But I'll tell you what, I did public address for the Fort Wayne Wizards.
Oh, yeah.
For the last 4 seasons that they were at Memorial Stadium. And it was when we first got the Wizards in 1992.
It's awesome.
When they built that in 92, it was a case where, we hadn't had professional baseball since the 40s, and it was great. But I do think perhaps some corners were cut just to make sure that things got done. I don't know. But, at the end of 16 seasons, when you walk down the stairwell, there were the concrete chipping and things like that. The infrastructure wasn't as pristine as perhaps what it looked like from Coliseum Boulevard or something like that. But just the opportunity to go downtown, Memorial Stadium got us professional baseball, and we're thankful for that and beholden to that. And, with the guys like Jerry Fox and Fort Wayne Sports Corp and people of that ilk that were able to get that into Fort Wayne. But it was the people, City Council President Sam Tallarico was very instrumental in, leading this charge to build it downtown at, on Ewing Street. And it's just, it's fabulous. So anyway, yeah, I'll stop my ranting.
We love a good rant.
Oh, yeah. Well, Anyway, before we go to break, I want to tell you about my friends at Culligan. We have the reverse osmosis drinking water system in our kitchen. There's just a little tank that fits underneath the sink, and then we got what looks like a little easy button. You turn on your cold water faucet, push the button, the pressure just changes just a bit, and then you've got pristine bottled water, quality water. I mean, it's amazing. The TDS, the total dissolved solids in the water, are minimal, if at all, and it's great. Diane loves it to cook with, feed the animals, to have us only drink that kind of water, and it's great. We love it. And the cool thing about the Culligan reverse osmosis drinking water system is you can buy the system and then have a maintenance agreement to service the filters and things like that, or you can rent it and maybe, give them a call, 484-8668. You can rent to own. But if you've lugged cases of water, put them, taken them off the end cap, put them in the cart, take them off the cart, put them at, on the conveyor on your, at the cash register, put them back in the cart, take them out to your car, put them into your car, take it out of your car, put it no. Just turn on the water, push the easy button they have, and you're good to go. Culligan. Give your people Culligan water. We'll be right back with Mike Nutter. You're listening to Talkin Sports on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin Sports. Along with Adam Lundy, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. If you have a question, comment, suggestion, do so via the Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana text line at 260-447-8500. That's 260-447-8500. We'll look it over and make sure it is airworthy. I always defer to Mr. Adam Lundy on that, as well as DC. Adam's filling in for DC Hendricks this morning. The Flamingos have a tournament game, I believe, this morning. So DC's son Quincy is playing in that. So here is Adam Lundy stepping to the plate. So in doing so very well.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and happy to have you. So let's go to the Talkin Sports phone line, powered by Summit Choice Credit Union, because waiting on there is the president of the Fort Wayne TinCaps, Mr. Mike Nutter. Mike, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Great to be on with you this beautiful morning.
Oh, it is. I mean,
you can always count on the weather being perfect in Northeast Indiana when the TinCaps are on the road.
That's called Murphy's Law. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, my goodness.
I got to meet that Murphy because I haven't had a great relationship with him the last couple of years.
But then again, the TinCaps are coming home on Tuesday to start a homestand, and I checked the weather, and it's still supposed to be beautiful.
No doubt. It's literally supposed to be perfect. We joked last week about all the promotions we were headlined up. Really, I mean, if we're being honest, for the rest of the year going forward, and next week is no different. A lot of the tried and true stuff. Family Feast on Tuesday night. Bluey is back. The phenomenon.
All right.
Bluey on Tuesday. All fans can meet Bluey. I made the mistake a couple years ago of saying meet him, and the text chain blew up, so all the fans can meet her on Tuesday night. And there's also VIP stuff if anybody wants a little more time, but come on in and meet Bluey. June 3rd, Paws and Claws and the Puffer Bellies. Puffer Bellies has been really well received. We got that ESPN National Pub a few weeks ago. It was awesome. Thursday loads up again with a Thirsty Thursday and a pregame concert and fireworks. Friday night, fireworks, and something that people circle now every year. We're playing as the Fort Wayne Daisies on Friday night. Saturday night, fireworks, and then Sunday back to post-game autographs for the first time in a little while. Cleveland Guardians affiliate comes in. They're a good team, and they have a huge prospect for them coming in that someday is going to roam the outfield in Cleveland. But what about that one last night? 7-0, we're down in South Bend. Cash Mayfield is, in fact, human.
Yes,
so he's probably been the best pitcher in minor league baseball, and it certainly has been the best pitcher in our league and in all of high A and maybe all of minor league baseball. And last night, you know, as happens from time to time with even the best of the best, you know, he struggled a little bit with his command and some other things and only retired one batter and gave up 6 or 7 earned runs. We were down 7-0 last night with one out in the bottom of the first, and you're thinking, well, that was probably not going to go our way. I mean, a long way and all the baseball cliches, but 7-0 to a team that's in first place and running away with the Western Division. And we clawed back a little bit. The bullpen didn't give up a run, and then you go to the top of the ninth against one of the best closers in your league, and you just think, well, maybe not. It's 8-5 in the top of the ninth, and the boys score 4. And Edmondson, our closer, now has an ERA on the year 0.43.
Wow.
And we won 9-8, so we can win the next couple, even up the series, and come home Tuesday for what you said is awesome weather and great promotions.
0 point. That's almost like video game rookie level stuff, you know.
And somebody looking up, well, how's he 1-2? One of the games over in Cedar Rapids was a couple of errors. And then I think that's how we've gotten both of his losses. I think last night he took the ball for the 8th and 9th. The 8th inning maybe just to get a little work, right, in case there's not a bottom of the 9th. I mean, you remember those days. Hey, this guy hasn't pitched in a little while. We got to get him work. Well, let's just run him back out there for the 9th like they used to with Raleigh Fingers and some of the guys originally when saves were becoming a thing that were 2 and 3 innings and stuff. And he's been fun to watch. It's the submarine style, but it's low 90s, and so it's not just flipping it up there, you know, and tricking them. It's got great stuff as well. So it's been a lot of fun. McCoy hit his 10th. I want to say that Cunningham has 3 homers up there on the week already, and he's around 10 or 12 home runs. And so it's been a lot of fun to watch. Again, it looks like we're probably going to come up short in the first half, but with Johnny Matthews and the first-place team down in Lake Elsinore, hopefully we're right around it. The reality of it is, after we started scuffling the first 2 or 3 weeks, we've really played above 500 the rest of the way, and that's really what the fans want, and us as a front office, just be competitive. Last week, 3-3 against a great Dayton team. That's all right. We just don't want to be, you know, where fans are showing up and it's like, oh, can we do anything tonight? Don't go away, because 4 runs in the 9th against the best team was a good win last night, and hopefully they carry it through tonight in South Bend.
Yeah, well, you had mentioned, you know, Alex McCoy as well, and Adam and I were talking about that at the top of the show, that not only has he hit his 10th home run last night, but RBI 31 and 32 as well on the young season. So he's on pace to do some great things. But you know, it's always that's why we love baseball, and we talked about this last week as well.
Yeah.
But you know, okay, just a stat that pretty much amazed me this past week. Shohei Ohtani throws 6 no-hit innings in his last start. I think he struck out 9 anyway, but he gave up an earned run. And you think,
wow.
How in the world can a guy throw a no-hit ball but give up an earned run? Well, you walk a batter, he steals second, right side goes to third, and sack fly.
Exactly right.
Yeah. You know, but that's, you know, those are the things. And I've always said, you know, go to a T-ball game, go to a Little League game, because you may see something that you have never seen before, or what hasn't happened in over 100 years. You know, I can remember my grandson playing Little League at St. Joe Little League, and it was on a Saturday morning. My son texts me, goes, Dad, don't hurry over after your show, because right now it's in the top of the first, and it's 8-0 the other team. And I go, okay, well, I still went over. Mike, my grandson's team scored 27 runs in the bottom of the first. So,
wow.
I'm glad I got
station to station there. Send them all home.
Oh my goodness, yeah, but that was baseball. And it was
no doubt. Remember earlier this year, we won 1-0 on a straight steal of home.
Yeah.
No, in the minor leagues, they couldn't find any record of it. In the major leagues, they found 3 instances where it's happened in 100 and some years.
Yeah, not a suicide squeeze, not a safety
steal of home.
Yeah, straight steal.
Yeah, no squeeze, nothing, just batter breaks.
Yep. Instinct. Wow. Yeah, and anyway, that's once again, that's why we love it. Well,
we're showing our age here now with all these stories.
That's okay though, I guess, you know. But yeah, it's but that's what baseball will do to you. You know, I was talking to some fans at the Leo sectional game the other night, and we were talking about, you know, the fraternity that is baseball. And I mentioned this in talking to Adam as well, that if you took everybody away from my wife's and my lives that we've met through baseball, we wouldn't know too many people.
Yeah.
But it's that
you and
fraternity.
I wouldn't be talking probably.
Well, right, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but baseball affords that, and it's such a long-standing thing. I still will see guys that I played with in high school and the adult leagues. I'll see them. We haven't seen each other in maybe 10, 12 years, in high school, 50. But still, it's great. And you always have some kind of connection But that's what makes
Hey,
it.
one other connection, if you don't mind, real quick before we go. I was running this morning, so I missed the top of the show, so I might have missed it. But what about the career and the victories, and I think 3 Hall of Fames? I want to make sure I'm saying it right, but is it Dean Lehrman?
Dean Lehrman at Heritage, yeah. And his career ended last night with a loss to the Belmont Braves. And unfortunately, Heritage took a 10-4 lead into the bottom of this. They were behind 10-4, and Heritage scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th to make it 10-9. And it was just it was unfortunate. But yeah, what a guy! He's a member of the
742 victories and 3 Hall of Fames.
Yeah, he's a member of our Northeast Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame as well. And but it's just it's awesome, that he has given so much of his time, effort.
Yes.
His family has done it as well. And what people don't see is they think, well, for baseball or a spring high school sport, well, you get April and May. No, it's year round anymore.
It's so much. And again, now, as you know, and the listeners know, I'm the son of an educator. I'm not criticizing school districts and stuff, but it's pretty thankless. I heard somebody one time, at a Homestead game where my kids went through, well, how many thousands of dollars is that coach making out there? I said, none. And they were like, well, what do you mean? And I said, they're making hundreds of dollars. Like, the aggravation and the way it's changed over the years and the thankless stuff for coaches and umpires and stuff, hats off. Tip of the tin cap to this guy, 742 games. Talk about stuff that he's seen over the years that never happened before or since.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of wins.
Well, and if someone did a time study on what head high school baseball coaches make as opposed to the hours they actually put in. Remember, a football coach or a basketball coach, nothing against them, but do they have to maintain the court or the gridiron? No. A baseball coach has to rake, he has to drag, he has to cut the grass, everything, turfus and more dirt and rebuild mounds and so there's just so much
labor of love, brother.
Yeah.
For the game and for the kids and the impact. Think of the guys that invited him over the years, and all the coaches, not just Dean, but like all of them, to their weddings. And those are the stories that just makes your heart melt. Of like, hey, like you said before, baseball brought this group of people together, but the impact that he has. Think of my old buddy Mike Frame, his son dad's running, Huntington.
Yeah.
Like the impact these men and other men and women coaches have had on future generations, and just continuing the love of the game is absolutely awesome.
It is, and it just goes without saying that they do it not to get rich, not for the notoriety, but for the love of the game and the love of helping other people. And it's just fantastic. Do have a question for you, Mr. Nutter, before we part. Okay, I'm a box score fanatic. I love box scores.
Me too.
And what has become of the Midwest League box scores that appear in the newspaper that is almost like a text thread? Now I go right to TinCaps.com because that is the box score there.
Right.
How I grew up seeing
the question. It's a great question. You and I have seen it change over the years. First off, I want to make clear on the front end, we have incredible support from the Journal. There's so few daily newspapers now that are sending 66 home games this year. We're probably going to have a beat writer at 60 of them. And that's unheard of in this day and age. But it seems like it's become a lot more of like the high school box scores that are in there. There's a few lines and there's a few texts. Again, we love the Journal. You're going to see James and Dillinson and Victoria, and those are the 3 main writers. So follow them on there. Mark Jaworski still does an amazing job, so follow that. But I think for the box score, you're going to want to go to tincaps.com or milb.com. Now, those 2 sites can't give you what Dylan and James and Victoria and everybody can give you in terms of a story and getting to know the players, but I think the box score you're going to want to get at tincaps.com.
Yes, indeed. I mean, my MLB app, I go to the scores every single morning at least once and go all the way through and see what's happening, see what's going on. But it was just something that I wanted to ask, and before somebody else does on the text line. So there we are. So well, Mike, thank you so much, and I'll hope to get out to the ballpark this week and see the games and that are going on, as well as the promotions. And we'll talk to you next Saturday.
I can't wait. Thanks so much, my friend. Bye-bye.
All right. That was Mike Nutter, president of the Fort Wayne TinCaps, in our weekly TinCaps chat. And, I want to get out there to Parkview Field. I'm solo this week, Adam Lundy.
Flying solo.
My wife and one of my stepdaughters flew down to Sarasota, where she's from, for a 10-day stay. And then next week, the other stepdaughter and myself will head over there for just a weekend, weekend.
You don't get
stay.
10 days?
No.
Oh.
And just too busy, even though I'm coming off anyway, already too busy. But, and the funny thing is she's a big Tampa Bay Rays fan.
Yeah.
And I got her one of the City Connect jerseys last year for her birthday. And her favorite player, Josh Lowe, from he was with the Rays, and he was her favorite player. And I couldn't find a Josh Lowe City Connect jersey, so the back was just blank. And then Josh Lowe got traded to the Angels as part of a kind of I think it might have been a 3-way trade. Anyway, so she's down there, and lo and behold, today they're playing the Angels in their series, the Rays and the Angels, and she texted me last night and said they sent Josh Lowe to the minors. So her favorite player who went to the Angels, and then she was all excited about going to the game. Yeah.
That's always tough.
Send him to the minors.
I mean, you got to give him credit for, trying to keep the career alive, but that's always tough.
He's been around a little while, and I think he's in Salt Lake now. So.
Wish him the best.
Yeah, let's see if he can get back up.
Yeah.
We went to Cincinnati Reds game last summer when they played the Rays. We even got seats out in right field because that's where he plays. Yeah, he wasn't in the starting lineup either. That's what happens. That's like my hero, Rick Monday. When I was a kid, my dad and I used to go to Tiger Stadium once a year when the A's came to town and watch the Oakland A's and Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
So, and my thought was to see Rick Monday. We probably went about 4 times. We saw Rick Monday once because he's also in the National Guard. And so he would have one weekend a month, he would have, maneuvers or whatever it was called at the time. And he would miss. You wouldn't do that today. But anyway, that's what we did in the late 60s, early 70s. And so Rick Monday was serving his country one weekend a month as and a Major League ball player. But, but still, and I was disappointed, but I still got to see the likes of Reggie Jackson, Catfish Hunter, Sal Bando, Gene Tennis, Vida Blue. Well, I didn't get to see Vida Blue. That's a whole nother story. But, it's just one of those things. But still, she doesn't get to see Josh Lowe. But she does get to see the first place Rays and the Angels today. And I'm home. I'll watch it on TV.
Can look for her at the Trop there.
Yeah, and I'll sit home with 2 Chihuahuas on the recliner with me, hogging the thing. So
there you go.
Anyway, Ziva and Squirt. So we're going to go ahead and go to break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking to Mr. Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. We'll do that when we return. You're listening to Talkin Sports on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Now back to Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
This sounds like Somebody to Love by Queen from the album Day at the Races, I believe.
Helps if you turn the volume up, Jim.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you don't have to let it run now that I've messed it up.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, no Freddie there. But anyway, hey, welcome back to Talkin Sports, and let's go right to the Talkin Sports phone line, powered by Summit Choice Credit Union, because waiting on there, listening to Queen along with us, is Mr. Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. Were you a Queen fan at all, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very fitting intro for someone like me who's quite the diva.
Yeah,
sure. Of course I was a Queen fan, just like everyone else.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, my wife has the Queen logo tattooed on her back, yeah. But the Queen from her first album, anyway. So, another story, another day. But let's talk about those Fort Wayne Komets. Backs against the wall. All the cliches are in place right now, Shane. They take it one game at a time right now. They extend their season one game at a time with victories. Backs are against the wall, one game at a time. It's going to take their best effort. Kansas City's pretty good, but and I'm going to qualify that, but so are the Komets. But my gosh, Kansas City seems, several lines deep, and they're getting good goaltending. And oh my goodness, it's just one little goof up, or the 5-minute major the other night from Blake Murray was a killer.
Yeah, when you get to this level of playoffs, every team is good and very good at that. And you're not going to get away with the little mistakes you made in the regular season or even during the first two rounds. Mm-hmm. So that's, they finished 15 points ahead of the Komets. And even though the Komets had great success in the regular season, 15 points is a big gap. So that kind of shows you, how talented Kansas City is. And there's been a few instances where I can tell the game is just a little bit faster for the Komets. Like, you don't have as much time as you did when you were playing Indy and Toledo and, in teams during the regular season. It's just those little windows of time. If you have to fire the puck, you cannot hesitate. You got to let it go, or someone's going to be just lifting your stick and taking the puck away. And I've seen that so many times in this series. So, you're right, Jim. It's a cliche. It's right now. It's one period at a time, really. I mean, it's not even games. You got to win the first period tomorrow, win the second period, and hopefully win the third and win the game. Yeah. Again, a very talented team. It's good that they get a break because the Komets obviously played a lot of hockey. I think tired legs also played into things as well. And we know what the mission is. You want to extend your season. You want to keep it going. Florida, they were going for a sweep last night. Couldn't get it done, So Wheeling, they're still alive as well, and they're going to play again tonight. So you've got two teams desperate here, and, the underdogs, even though all four Final Four teams are number one seeds, the Komets and the Nailers, they came in, as the underdogs. So they're both trying to keep their seasons alive.
Yeah, I was going to ask you now, Florida had built that 3-0 lead over the Nailers, and how similar are they to a Kansas City Mavericks team that the Komets are doing battle with?
I think, really, I think Florida's the better team. I really do. They just got that championship pedigree, and, they know how to win. Those two teams locked up 2 years ago when Kansas City was going to be a heavy favorite, and Florida came away with the win there. I'm not going to count out Florida, even though they finished a few points below Kansas City in the regular season. That's a very, very good Florida team, and they're beating a very good Wheeling team. That was really, really good throughout the regular season. So, you know what? Our dream, is a Fort Wayne Wheeling series. That was our dream going into this Final Four, which would have been just amazing. But we got a long way to go. We just need to worry about ourselves, and hopefully it can just start with just getting a win Sunday in front of the home crowd.
We're talking this morning with Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. And yeah, it just it seemed, well, when you were on last week, that was after game one that the Mavericks took over the Komets. But you were even saying in 9 playoff games thus far, Kansas City had never trailed in a game in the first 2 rounds plus the night before. But then the Komets get that win on Saturday night in Kansas City, and then the next two games in Fort Wayne, the Komets score first. So that was something that the Komets did that no other opponent had done in the postseason to Kansas City, and I was thinking at that time, we got a shot here, and we still do. I mean, there's nothing, there's the mathematically eliminated stuff has to happen before I'll ever give up. But my gosh, it's watching pretty darn good hockey. So, I just don't want to look too far ahead, but just cliche, one game at a time.
Yeah, no, the first periods haven't been the problem. It's been the second period. We given up 8 goals in the past 2 games in the second period, and the majority of those were on power plays. So, you got to stay out of the penalty box. You can't take, it's really hard at this point of the season. The officials let a lot go. Stuff away from the play, they're going to let go. Unless it's taking away scoring chances, or if you high stick someone in the face, that's going to get called. So you have to stay away from the ticky tack things. You just have to ignore that, and then and then there's little mistakes. We had a bench minor for too many men on the ice. That's kind of unforgivable at this point in the season. Ended up giving up a goal there in Game 4 because of it. It's things like that you have to tighten up, and because a team like Kansas City, they're not going to make those mistakes. So you have got to really, you say, hey, play your game, but at this point, you got to play their game, and you got to be better at it.
Well, and another intangible for Kansas City is they can be physical too.
Yeah, you know what? They are. They're a bigger, faster team. I wish our guys this during this layoff, could grow a couple inches and gain 20 pounds. Not going to happen.
I don't know about I can't grow 2 inches, but I can gain 20 pounds in just a couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. So I would hope, the Komets never had any really, if you think about it, we won that Game 6 against Toledo and left the next day for Kansas City. There wasn't a whole lot of physical rest, mental rest, and the coaches didn't have a real chance to really dig into film and do a lot of scouting. So you have this weird extended break between games 4 and 5. So I'm sure the coaches too. Everyone is looking at more film and having and calculating a better way to beat this team.
Well, we have to defer to high school graduation, Shane.
We do, because that's so important, because that's you remember that on a daily basis. I know I do.
Well, when I get my graduation, I'm going to remember it too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Shane, thank you for joining us, and go Komets. That's all I can say. And once again, one game at a time.
That's right.
Okay. Thanks, Shane.
All right, thanks, Jim.
That was Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets, in our weekly Komet chat. Hopefully we're talking again next week, talk about games. Before we go, on this date in Fort Wayne sports history, Blake Sebring's book by the same name, May 30th century, as in 1947, Zollner Stadium opens as a softball palace. Until 1947, the Pistons played their game at the Municipal Beach, which is City Utilities Park, where there were no showers, locker rooms. Players would dress at home and drive to the games. Well, no, that they drew between 5,000 and 6,000 fans a game for these over at Zollner. That's why initially Zollner was configured like it was, with the stands closest to Anthony Boulevard were kind of curved just a little bit. People thought it was a football stadium only, but it was softball, and that's how they did it. But also in 2003, Concordia and Bishop Dwenger combined to refurbish the entire Zollner Stadium, that complex, to the cost of $2.4 million. So they shared the facility since 1978 for their home football games until Dwenger built Shields Field. But anyway, hey, that's going to do it for Talkin Sports for a Saturday, May 30th. Special thanks go out to Mr. Mike Nutter, president of the Fort Wayne TinCaps. Also, Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. Thanks so much to Adam Lundy for keeping it all smooth. And we're going to leave you with Foghat and a little slow ride. Until next week, have a great week, everybody.
Podcasts by Federated Media.